30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a beautiful Wednesday in Nashville. Throw that water. I want people to know I have hands. Oh, yeah. They do take good care of me here. Thank you very much. We got a good show for you today. You saw that there's some athletic ability there. I know that impressed Kelly big time. And so here's what I'm going to tell you about today's show. It will be very football heavy with a pretty good little announcement to share with you as well. Excited about it. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good, George. How you doing? I was kind of impressed, man. Your hands looked a little bit they didn't look rigid. They didn't look rigid at all, man. They received that bottle of water. I thought it was pretty good.
Let's try this again. Billy?
That was quite shocking to me, actually. I was really shocking.
Billy? Chuck it. Yep. See,
nice.
I could be a receiver.
Maybe so. Well, you got to be able to run, George. You got to be able to run.
I'd say maybe a wheelchair league. Or maybe this big chair I've got back here.
You got a nice place. I see it. I've seen it. It's nice.
Good stuff. So, what did you watch last night?
I watched, which we're going to get an update, but I watched the Heat and the Knicks. And
the Knicks.
Yeah, that's I don't know. And then I started watching the Lakers and the Warriors, and with me and my old self went to sleep. So I made it through about the quarter and a half of that, and then I was done.
I hate to admit this, the exact same thing happened. If I'm the NBA, then they're not asking me. I'd have started that Knicks game at 5:30 Central, and I'd have put that old Lakers and Golden State 8 o'clock in prime time.
I don't think they care.
Me fall asleep.
Yeah, I don't think they care what we think, though, George, So the NBA scheduling is not really worried about George Plaster and Kelly Holcomb.
No, but there are a bunch of us out there, bunch of old farts who can't stay awake.
Correct.
I mean, because no matter what, that game ends at 11:30 Central Time. Okay, this is a showcase for the NBA with, in my mind, its two biggest stars, LeBron James, Steph Curry. I mean, am I wrong to say we got to do some stuff here?
No, you're not wrong, but I still going to go back to the deal. They don't care. It's on the West Coast. California people are going to watch it. Las Vegas, all those people out there are going to watch it. They're not worried about us. So I kind of agree with you. I'd love them just for selfish reasons. I would love for it to be earlier so I could watch the whole thing, because that's the series that I really, really want to watch.
Oh, yeah. And congrats to the Lakers, man. I blew it. I did not see that one coming. I still don't think the Lakers are going to win the series, but I got to get a little more open-minded about it. The Lakers may be better than I've thought.
Yeah, but I'm just not sure they have an answer for Anthony Davis. I mean, he dominated the game last night. I mean, he scored 30 points and had 23 rebounds. That's
pretty good little stat sheet.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to have an answer for him. And right now, I mean, I thought the Looney kid could be something, but he just dominated that game last night. And, in the last series when he dominated those games, they won games. So, it's obvious that when Anthony Davis is playing well and he's wanting to be a factor in the game, I mean, they normally win.
Billy, how much of it did you stay awake for?
Unfortunately, I watched the first 3 or 4 minutes or so. I just couldn't.
Pooped out.
Yeah. But another thing on the Lakers Warriors, number one, they had the Warriors fans wearing a yellow, gold out, whatever their color is. But the Lakers were wearing yellow jerseys.
Yeah.
And the Warriors were wearing black.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is ridiculous. You're in the playoffs. One team wears white, the home team or I don't get why they're wearing black, and the Lakers are in the Chase Center wearing yellow.
So they can sell more jerseys.
Correct.
That is it.
I just don't. There's no more tradition in the NBA.
Well, it's about getting the younger generation too involved. I mean, they know that in football, when you have all these uniforms and all these helmets, it intrigues kids, and you're in the NBA. I mean, just like the Denver Nuggets had Mile High City the other night. It's just something to sell.
Like, I want to go back and watch these if it's a classic game and you see the classic uniforms, but you're seeing the Warriors in black. So that's my gripe after last night.
3 words. Deal with it.
I guess I'm going to have to.
David,
Tonight,
hold on a second.
David,
ahead. Did you stay awake for it?
Actually, I stayed up for the entire game.
Did you really?
I did. It's just a fascinating series for me. I said it yesterday. If Anthony Davis has that mindset that he's going to be the best player on the court, I like the Lakers' chances in this series.
David was right.
Yeah.
Problem is he doesn't do it every night.
And that's the problem is he kind of shows up when he wants to.
He wanted to last night.
I was impressed by the Lakers, though. The Splash Brothers each made 6 threes. Jordan Poole made 6 threes. The Lakers couldn't shoot from behind the three-point line, and they still won that game. So I would be nervous if I'm Golden State with the size advantage that the Lakers have down low.
Billy, in this update that you're about to do the best you can, because Dick Gabriel is listening. Okay. And you never know when he may say, I'm going to take that kid away and ship him to Lexington.
I need to watch my pronunciations too.
Yeah. Don't give him fuzzy Zoller.
No, he would get me on that one.
Dick, he did that, and Kelly roasted him.
So did the guy we had on. Who was the guy we had on? He was listening during it.
Yeah,
too.
somebody
was Bob
did.
Kravitz from Indianapolis.
Bob Kravitz let me have it.
Lit you up like a Christmas tree. Okay, so what stories we got?
Joel Embiid is expected to return tonight in Game 2 for the Sixers. Of course, he was named NBA MVP, but he was asked earlier today after shoot-around. He said there's still a possibility he's going to leave it up to the medical staff. So, but do they need him? I mean, they won Game 1. Do you rush him back?
No, I would hold him till Game 3 when they get to Philly.
Absolutely.
But they're not asking
tonight.
They don't care what, as Kelly said, George Plaster thinks.
They don't give a damn what I think. Move on.
The NHL, Panthers beat the Maple Leafs, but the story last night was the Kraken. They win 5-4, but Joe Pavelski for Dallas had 4 goals.
God.
All 4 goals, and they lost.
Yeah, I mean, how can you celebrate the greatest night you'll ever have and
you lost?
Yeah.
That's brutal. Not the best start to the series if you're the Stars, but
no. And how about this Florida Panther group? I mean,
so good stat on them. This is their first second round win since 1997.
You think that'll get you a job in Lexington?
Maybe. I guess I got to find a Kentucky stat for Dick.
Get him an Anthony Davis one. That'll get him fired up.
I'll ask David for that. He's got the Davis takes. Tonight, Devils and Canes, 6 o'clock on ESPN, and then Oilers and Golden Knights.
I believe the first game we have a play on.
Interesting.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Mm-hmm.
NFL news, Randall Cobb.
The first one I've had in about a week.
You need it. Randall Cobb has reportedly sign with the Jets and reunite with Aaron Rodgers on a 1-year deal. He's the 4th former Packer to sign with the Jets, joining Lazard, Tim Boyle, who's a backup quarterback, Billy Turner, who is, I think, an offensive lineman, and then Nathaniel Hackett is also on the Jets staff. He was the OC for the Packers in 19 to 21. So I
look for Jordy Nelson to sign with them.
Hey, don't hold your breath on that one. Or Donald Driver, maybe.
Nice. Very nice.
He was a good one. James Jones.
Where's Mercedes Lewis when you need him?
Wow. Nice. Yeah.
Let's go to baseball.
So hold on a second. So let me get this right. The backup quarterback.
The
third guy, not Jordan Love.
No, Tim Boyle.
Boyle is basically probably his driver. I will say this. You know, they showed him a bunch last night at Madison Square
He
Garden.
gave him his haircut.
Oh, well, first of all, think about the change in Aaron Rodgers. Okay, he had that nasty, stringy stuff in Green Bay, and all of a sudden he gets to JETS, and he cuts his hair, and he looks fairly normal. Doesn't look like he's been in some cave, you know, this Osama bin Laden cave that he was in. I mean, cleaned up his act to be a Jet.
He's trying to brand himself differently with the Jets, George. I mean, can't we figure that out?
Well, yeah, it's all phony.
Hey, it's a focused look, man. He's focused. He's with a new team. He's trying to take them to the promised land. So he's going to shave the hairdo.
It's almost like it would be the other way around, where you get to New York and you grow the hair out. You get sick of the media.
There was always one piece in the back that didn't fit.
It was bad. It was funky.
It looked awful.
But once again, I don't think he cares what you and I thought.
No, I think that's right. I mean, he's making about $60 million a year.
I don't think he's tuning into the show to see what we think.
We have no evidence of that.
Let's go to baseball. Aaron Judge is on the IL for the Yankees, so tough news for Terry. He suffered a hip injury last week while sliding into a base. So hopefully for Yankee fans, he returns soon. Hopefully for you, George, you probably wouldn't wish that on the Yankees.
No, I am an Aaron Judge fan. There's some Yankees that I root for. DJ LeMahieu would be one of those.
Class act.
Yeah.
Yankees, by the way, they're in first place or last place. Meant to say last in the AL East, so they're struggling. They're averaging 4 runs per game. That's 23rd in baseball. So we got to get Terry on to figure out what's going on up there.
I pity the Yankees. Bunch of dogs.
Bryce Harper, meanwhile, his return comes just 160 days after his Tommy John surgery. He was medically cleared yesterday in L.A. and said that this was the series he targeted in his mind all along. So good for the Phillies. They need him back.
Kelly, did you know that Bryce Harper is a Nashvilleian?
I did not know that, George.
Yeah, you stick with me, you'll learn some things.
I'm sure I will. I mean, you know a lot of folks, and you are.
I don't know Bryce Harper.
You're very well versed in the history of the Nashville area. There's no question about that.
Grew up here, but seriously, he apparently has moved here.
Has he really?
Yeah,
as everybody else has as well.
Yes. To which I say to him, "Go Braves." Is that it?
That's it, George.
That's the update?
That's the update. Well, I did want to get to the Titans. They had their press conference today.
Okay.
Ryan Tannehill made some comments. He was asked about the Titans waiting till the 7th round to take a receiver, and he was a little confused by that as well, like a lot of fans.
He said that?
I don't have the direct comment, but I got the notification.
Yeah.
He said, he was surprised they waited until the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in agreement with him. Yeah, I'm in agreement with him.
But this would be the first time that he's been here that he's really ever said anything.
This
is sort of a first. This sounds like a guy who knows he's gone at the end of the year.
Maybe he's rocking the boat. He's rocking the boat, trying to get some things fixed before he heads out.
So after the break, Kelly, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Titans did draft Will Levis from Kentucky. And nobody, and I mean nobody, knows more about what's going on up in the Commonwealth in Big Blue territory than Dick Gabriel. He will join us after the break. I hope you'll be ready.
Gotcha.
Stay tuned. This is going to be fun. Come on back. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Pretty big week up in Kentucky, if you think about it. Something called the Kentucky Derby over the weekend. Will Levis is now a Titan. Hunter Dickinson, really good big man from Michigan. Looks like he's going to Kentucky, and if that's the case, they're going to get some points inside. So a lot of things happening as we bring an old friend, Dick Gabriel, to our microphones. Billy, what station does Dick work for?
630 WLAP.
You might want to memorize those. I'm just kidding. Come on, I'm having fun. Dick, how are you?
I'm good, George. How you doing, man?
If I wanted to get rid of Billy, is he hireable?
Why would you want to get rid of Billy? Isn't he the glue?
Might be a little more than just glue.
Although, of course, in a horse racing parlance, glue is not good.
No.
When it comes to holding a show together, it is.
Yeah, you get sent to the glue factory. It doesn't sound good.
Yeah, buddy.
So, in all seriousness, I've never been up there the week of the Derby.
Oh, wow.
I never have. What's it like?
It's chaotic. It has become really chaotic, George. It used to be a lot easier to cover the race. I've only been up there a couple times this week. Since I retired from the TV station, I kind of come and go as I please, as you know. And I was there Monday. Not bad. The crowd wasn't too bad. Today, you could barely move near the racetrack to even see the horses on the backside. And race day, if you don't just give yourself over to 125,000 fans, you'll go crazy. I'm used to that, and I don't mean to sound like a cranky old man, but I am a cranky old man. Back in the day, it was just a lot easier to get around the barns and talk to the people you need to talk to. But Churchill Downs, in a marketing move, kind of really opened up the track to more and more fans, and they're giving more fans access to the backside. I don't think it's always safe, but they've cultivated new fans by doing this. So anyway, doing your job has gotten a little more difficult, but I still love it. I grew up in Louisville. I've been to almost 50 Kentucky Derbies. Won't be there this Saturday. I'll be at Kentucky baseball, but it's a blast. I recommend you go up once if you're okay with dealing with huge crowds.
So what can they actually hold now? What would be the most you could shoehorn in there? Because I've been to Churchill any number of times.
Yeah.
It's a big place.
Yeah. Well, if they really wanted to pack the infield, they could hold more than 150,000 fans. They've done it. But the problem is they have built so much now. I probably shouldn't have answered that before I said they have built more. They have added on in the infield in the first turn. So they've taken up a lot of that open space with structures, with tents, with concession stands. But I still think they could get easily beyond 150,000.
Wow. Okay, you know why we wanted you on here. You know more about
Take up for Billy.
Yeah, absolutely. Billy, this is your chance.
Dick's my guy. I like it.
Listen, this is a big opportunity. Don't blow it. So tell us some things about Will Levis that none of us here could probably know.
Well, it just depends on what you've heard, what you've read, what you've seen. It was interesting to me, George, that the word arrogant kept coming out, and it's understandable. This is a soundbite society. I get that. But he is not an arrogant guy. At least if he is, he hit it extremely well while he was here at Kentucky. And you and I talked off the air, I guess it was a couple days ago, and I told you that he was named a team captain within a couple of weeks since he got here and had never taken a snap. But his teammates recognized not just his ability, because a lot of guys show up with talent, with ability. He's built like a football player, like a linebacker. They've seen all that. But what they saw was the work ethic and his willingness to work with the younger quarterbacks to be the third. When he got here, he was third string. He was immediately third team quarterback and just worked his way up. And it was pretty obvious he was going to win the job because the other guys were so young and green. So I don't, just because he said, I've got a cannon and I'm going to show it off, that doesn't make him arrogant. It sounds arrogant. And if he had to do it again, he probably wouldn't do it. But I can't say that's why the Colts backed off on Will Levis. And I'll tell you this, and I think I shared this with you as well, but for your audience, in Oxford at Ole Miss, like every visiting locker room, it's pretty cramped, pretty tight. Will Levis's locker was about 10 feet from mine, or from where I was standing by the door of the locker room. Everybody on that side of the building had to pass him on the way out after a really tough loss. And that's where he got hurt. He had the turf toe and other injuries. Everybody who went by his locker, George, reached out, patted him on the shoulder, rubbed his head, mussed his hair, or, bump fist or whatever, like just hang in there, because he was clearly down in the dumps. And nobody was watching except me. I was kind of spying on it. That had an impact on me. I thought these guys care about each other. And if you're an arrogant QB, I don't think that happens.
Dick, I know that he had a very painful turf toe situation. Is that still an issue?
I talked to Mike Keith, a guy the other night on my show. He didn't even bring it up. And so it sounds like the Titans aren't that concerned about it. Chris Mortensen tweeted that at least one team talked about surgery, but he told us, the media, after the bowl game, before pro day, that he was 90%. So I got to think by the time he gets into OTAs, he'll be fine.
So I don't know that I've ever heard this. He transferred from Penn State. Was that at all friction with James Franklin, or was it simply Sean Clifford beat him out up there?
Well, you can always ask a quarterback, are you leaving because of the coach or because of the playing situation? And they're kind of intertwined. I don't know if he personally had any friction with James Franklin, but before you and I talked the other day, I had never heard anything about that. He was sort of pigeonholed as the running quarterback. If we need to run the ball, we'll put this guy in. And perhaps his passing skills hadn't caught up with Clifford's yet. But when Clifford went down injured and Levis was inserted into the Nebraska game on the road, he brought them almost all the way back. But then the next time he played, he struggled, and they put Clifford back in. And Clifford's not a bad quarterback. My Green Bay Packers drafted him. But for whatever offense Penn State was running, evidently Will Levis wasn't what they were looking for. But as soon as Liam Cohen was hired, that's when the process began, because he had recruited Will Levis when he was a college coach up in Maine. So he knew what this kid could do and realized he was the perfect candidate for the offense that Cohen was installing.
Kelly Holcomb's with us. Watson is on the senior PGA tour, apparently, up near Cookeville. So we'll see him sometime, early, mid-July. And that is Kelly Holcomb, former NFL quarterback. Kelly, say hello to Dick Gabriel.
Dick, how you doing?
I'm good, Kelly. Good to talk to you.
Yes, sir. You too. You ever talk to Tim Couch any?
I do every once in a while, but Tim's in and out of town quite a bit. Busy guy. He's got his kids, his family. Last time I saw him in person, he was at the bowl game this year. Bumped into him in the airport, so we chatted. And Tim did some broadcast work with us on the UK network for a little while. So yeah, he's a good one.
I told him because he was doing some stuff with Fox, and I can't believe y'all allowed him to be on the radio with you because I told him he had marble mouth. I'm like,
I'll tell you what, he really developed quickly when he jumped on the air, and it was on television. Did a nice job. He's always fun to talk to.
oh, he's one of my best friends. I had better friends in the league. I had to go up to a Browns backers deal about 2 weeks ago, 2 weekends ago, and everybody was asking me because the media portrayed myself and he that we were combative at each other, but it was never that way. I love Tim. He's such a good guy, and we still keep in contact.
Well, and when I've talked to him about his time with the Browns, he spoke very highly of you. He really did. Because you guys, you talk about suffering through the same thing. And a friend of mine worked in the front office, I won't name his name, with the Browns when you guys were there. And he said, we didn't do those guys any favors with the team we put around them. So you guys were both running for your respective lives. I'm amazed you did as well as you did and got to the playoffs. People forget about that. You guys got to the playoffs.
Yeah, with a really bad group. I mean, we just didn't. I've told George and Billy and all those guys, like if we would have the year we went to the playoffs, if we would have kept that team together, we just needed to add some pieces. If we couldn't add some pieces, we could have been in the playoffs for a long time.
Yeah, but common sense isn't always on display, is it? In the NFL?
No, absolutely not. Well, I talked to Tim. I asked him about Will Levis. He said he loved him.
Yeah.
He said he played through a lot of injuries last year, obviously with the turf toe. People don't understand how turf toe is, but I'm glad to hear all this. With just what kind of person he is now. What are his ups and his downfalls? We all read the stuff on what the Mel Kipers and the Todd McShays, but what did you see? I mean, I know that he's had some interception issues. Seems like he gets locked in, but what do people need to know a little bit about him?
Well, I think that first of all, he was throwing to an NFL caliber receiver in Wan'Dale Robinson and another good receiver on the other side of the field in Josh Ali, his first year. And those guys move on. So now his leading two receivers the next year are freshmen, true freshmen. So he had to play through whatever mistakes they made running routes. And meanwhile, was playing behind a completely rebuilt offensive line. All five starters were new to those respective positions. Some of them had played before, but a guard at tackle, a guard at center, things like that. So the offensive line really, really struggled. And that's why Will was beaten up. The offensive coordinator, Rich Scangarello, told him, I do not want you running the football. And therefore, he kind of held the ball probably more than he did the year before. And running the football was a big part of his game. So he stood in there, took a beating, and that led to one of his bigger problems was trying to throw the ball into windows that didn't really exist because he was trying to make a play.
Right.
And you know how it is, I'm sure. You see a window, you think you can get it there. And the other thing, too, is he has such a great gun. Oftentimes, his passes skipped off the hands of his receivers into the hands of defensive backs. I think over his career, that happened 6 or 7 times. So he had that. I really believe, Kelly, that he just knew if I could just hang in there for one more Mississippi, I can make this play and help my team instead of throwing it away or tucking and running.
Right. With your expertise, do you think he's more of I think he's into a good situation because when you're coming into the National Football League, I would like to have been behind somebody instead of just coming back like a Bryce Young who's going with a really bad team or CJ Stroud. Seems like he can maybe sit there, learn the pro game a little bit. Does that kind of suit him more? Could you see him coming in and being a starter right away, or would he be better fit to, sit behind like a Ryan Tannehill and learn the game a little bit?
Well, you know as well as I do, Peyton Manning struggled right out of the gate. Andrew Luck struggled. Troy Aikman struggled. They
Right.
all need help like that. So I think you're exactly right. I think sitting behind Tannehill and competing now with Malik Willis for that backup job is going to suit him really, really well. Liam Cohen talks about the kid's work ethic. You'll never have to ask him to work harder, Cohen says. So he'll do the book work. He'll do what y'all still call the film work. And, he'll make himself, if he gets the opportunity, a good, solid NFL quarterback. I really think that the template was what the Bengals did with Carson Palmer. And I know you guys, you and Tim, the plan was Ty Detmer would play, and eventually, they'd work in the other guy. Well, the Browns, as you know, abandoned that plan 2 or 3 weeks into the season. The Bengals sat Carson Palmer. They basically redshirted him, you might recall, and played John Kitna. And because they went 8-8, the Bengals, and they knew they weren't going to be a playoff team, so they didn't panic. And they allowed Carson Palmer to sit and watch and learn. And how good was he the next year? He was ready. And if he hadn't blown his knee in a playoff game, I think he would have had a much better career than he had, and he had a good career.
Let me ask you this mentally, because the NFL is tough, and we saw it with, Peyton was the first pick, and then Ryan Leaf got drafted. He just could not handle it mentally. How is his mental game? Like, do you think he can handle it? Because there's going to be a lot of, when you're the guy under center, there's a lot thrust at you. How is he mentally to cope with that? Can he do that?
I think so, because when you think about it, this will be his fourth offensive coordinator in 4 years. And you guys are in the pros, you can adapt quickly. You kind of have that mindset, but what's that like for an 18-year-old, for a 19-year-old? And he's handled it pretty well. He's not afraid to be a leader. I saw him on the field kind of barking at guys for running the wrong routes. You can always tell. You guys always start doing this when you're talking to receivers, when you're talking about misreading routes or misrunning routes. He wasn't afraid to do that either. So to answer your question, I think he'll be fine. Some people question his decision-making, and I think that'll get better. But again, to your point, he'll have a chance to sit and learn and watch Tannehill and study film, and he'll stop thinking and just start doing.
Gotcha. I got one more question for you. It's a Kentucky question.
Yeah.
When I was coaching high school down here, I was at Riverdale, and there was a couple of brothers, and you know who I'm going with, the Wade brothers. How have they done? I know that the Destin Wade kid got in last year, quarterback. He struggles a little bit, man. He doesn't look like he sees the field, but how are those two young men doing in the Kentucky football?
Well, they love them both. And I think the quarterback, Wade, he'll be fine. He's just kind of, sit and learn, and just like Will Levis. But I think the fact that he got in to the bowl game, he could draw on that, didn't do very well, a couple of pick sixes, but he was such a raw talent when he got there. And they thought another kid was going to beat him out for that starting job in the bowl game. But he came on and won the starting job, just struggled a bit against a pretty good defense in Iowa. So I think he'll be fine, and I'd love to have his future. He's got great skills. The linebacker brother is further than he is, because how it is on defense. You can just react and make plays.
Yeah.
He made a lot of plays last year, so there's a lot of upside to him as well. He made some huge plays in a big win in Missouri last year. So, I really like what I've seen from both guys.
Well, good. Well, Dick, nice to meet you. I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be back on again. George, it's back to you, brother.
Yeah, Dick. Before you go, what's the deal on Hunter Dickinson? Is he going to Kentucky?
Well, he kept everybody waiting until a prescribed time, and then the next thing you know, he's not saying anything. And meanwhile, George, there's a new player at play, a kid named Grant Nelson, 6'11", from North Dakota State. He is a native North Dakotan, one of only 4 states that I've never visited. He averaged 18 points and 9 rebounds a game, and there's a list as long as your left arm of schools that he's considering, and Kentucky is one of them. But he's also going to test the NBA waters, and maybe he goes back to North Carolina, a little bit different, North Dakota. So that's another guy in the picture. I truly believe that they'd really like to have Hunter Dickinson, but maybe this kid's a fallback. I don't know. But Dickinson is playing it as close to the vest, George, as any prospect, transfer or high school, that I've ever encountered.
Interesting. Saw him a lot on television.
Yeah.
Then saw him live when they played Vandy in the NIT. He's got all the moves. He's got the little left-hand half hook.
3-pointer.
He's a really good player. Boy, you get him, you're going to have some fun.
I went to London for that game. Kentucky played Michigan. Never been to London. Thought, what the heck? He had a real nice game. But I will tell you this. I was a little surprised after the game. Kentucky wins. I never really felt like Kentucky was in trouble in that game. It wasn't a blowout, but I was surprised at the numbers Dickinson put up, and they were like 23-9 or something. It just seemed like when Oscar Tshiebwe was posting big numbers, you kind of knew it, but that might have been just because I covered Kentucky a lot. But I do think Dickinson can be a huge, no pun intended, huge help for Kentucky this coming year if he shows up here.
Yeah, we'll just wait and see. Listen, thank you for doing this as always.
Thank you, brother.
You got the money in the mail, I gather.
Of course. Obviously. Yeah. Wait a minute. You told me to send money to you.
Absolutely. I'm waiting for it.
Hey, I'll share my Kentucky Derby winnings with you. How about that?
Oh, please do that. Please. By the way, who wins it?
Well, you kind of like the chalk forte. I just talked to his trainer this morning, Mike Rapoli, who twice sold companies, beverage companies to Coca-Cola for more than $4 billion with a B, $4 billion. So he's doing well. But I will give you a horse for a price that I'm going to play one way or the other, Angel of Empire. So listen for that one. And if I'm right, I'm going to brag to you.
Angel of Empire. I'm writing it down right now. Dick, thank you.
My pleasure.
And if it works, double thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the break and then a little bit of an announcement that just has sort of popped up in the last few days, and I'll share with all of you where it's coming from. But first, let's talk our own race here. Different kind of race, Music City Grand Prix. When I do this commercial, I am not about to try to tell you that I'm some big racing expert. I'm not, and most of you already know it. But I'll tell you this much. I was so impressed a year ago with friends of mine who had gone to the race, who really didn't know what to expect going in. And I kept hearing the same kind of stuff, which was, this is one of the most awesome events out there going. And I have heard that a bunch. And it's been really cool to see the way it has woven its way into the fabric of our sports city. Then the other part, because of the music background in a lot of cases of Jason Rittenberry, man, have they put a lineup of musical acts for those 3 days out there. Very impressive. Go on their website if you want to order tickets, because I'm telling you, it is something special. It is the Music City Grand Prix.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank and Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank and Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
We are back. I think most of you can tell that as I have taken over running this, we have gotten a little more promotionally minded. We're doing some different things. I hope you're enjoying some of them. One of the first things I wanted to do was create a permanent studio out here at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, and we have done that thanks to Sean Henry and a staff out here that is second to none. These people have treated us like royalty, and I cannot thank them enough. Second thing that we did was to create sort of a summer sports speaker series. And the second one of those we'll announce probably early next week. Some of you have already heard, but the next one of those will be Tuesday, June the 6th. And Vanderbilt Athletic Director Candace Lee will be the speaker. She is certainly a trailblazing pioneer, a woman athletic director on the Division I level, an African-American woman athletic director on the Division I level. And so it'll be very interesting to have her come out and join us. And I'll give you next week more details. What I'm about to announce is something that just hit me in the face last Friday, and I was like, duh, we need to do this. So here's what happened. I belong to the downtown Nashville Kiwanis Club. Our speaker last week was Metro Councilwoman at Large, Berkeley Allen. She did a tremendous job, and a lot of it was talking about the new stadium that's going to be built downtown. And up front, let me make clear, and I don't think this is any big secret, I'm a proponent of the new stadium. I think this is something we need. I think this is something that is going to take Nashville sports to an even better next level. But like some of you, I've got some questions about some things. Have I done my due diligence and gone to some of the public hearings? I'll admit up front, I'm guilty. I haven't. Should have. Shame on me. But what I am going to do Monday is create our own little town hall meeting, if you will. And this is what's going to happen. Metro Councilwoman at Large, Berkeley Allen, nice enough to agree to put up with me a second time. Butch Spearden, who has been really the big pusher of this stadium in his role running the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And by the way, his retirement party last night was incredible at the new convention center. I was invited and I had a blast. That was really fun. And Titans president Burke Nyhill will join us as well toward the end of it from about 3 to 3:30. And so Kelly, I want people to know exactly where I'm coming from here, and where I want to take this. First of all, there are a bunch of issues to talk about. Anytime, you've got a $2.1 billion price tag, there are questions. Like I said, I'm a proponent of the stadium. I also have no problem with the concept that PSL holders will help pay. Okay? Got no problem with that. The first go round with Nissan Stadium, PSL holders paid $71 million of the $292 million that stadium cost. And by the way, that number included land acquisition. So you can see how much this stuff has gone up, from $2.1 billion now back to $292 million in the mid-90s. Kelly, here's the piece of this that you've heard me talk about a little bit. My concern is about PSL costs. I want it to be fair. I don't want to be gouged. I think the Titans have got to be very careful with the pricing structure on PSLs. And thus far, they really haven't told us anything. And to be real honest, the Metro Council never asked. Shame on them for not asking. They should have. Somebody in that 40-member board should have asked that question. I'm going to ask that question on Monday. My guess is that they are going to tell us that they don't have the answer yet.
Oh, yeah.
My opinion is they better hurry it up. They need to let people know exactly what it is they're getting into, because I think there is a huge line of Titan season ticket holders that if this price tag isn't suitable, are 88 and out the gate.
Yeah, normally when people keep things secret and don't want to talk about it, they're going to fleece, the PSL people. That's just the way it goes. That's the way governments do. That's the way city councils do. That's the way we all know that. So, my whole thing is this, George, and I'm with you. I mean, I understand they need a new stadium, but like stadiums back in the day, and I said this the other day, stadiums back in the day, man, they were iconic figures in a community. Like, before the Cleveland Browns built their new stadium, the old, that old stadium that they had right there next to the water, that thing had been there for years and everybody loved that place. It's the same thing in the, in the Baltimore area. It's the same thing in all these places that they've had all these, these stadiums forever. And now, the Titans have been here for 25 years or so. And now, they got and that's kind of amazing when you bring that number up, 292 million way back when to 2.1 billion now, which is pretty unbelievable. But, normally when you see things like this, George, there's something added by the NFL. They're going to give you a Super Bowl. And in order for there to be a Super Bowl when you go north, normally back in the day, it used to be all in Miami and California. And then you would get one in Minnesota because they had a dome. But when you're coming to Tennessee and the weather's so fickle, sometimes it gets cold, sometimes it doesn't. It rains a bunch. Sometimes you just never know what you're going to get. So you're going to have like, Billy talked about the other day, a translucent, dome over the top of it. So, you can get a feel, but you're sheltered from the environment outside. So that's normally why people are doing it nowadays. And I'm sure that the NFL will promise them a Super Bowl, and then when they build it, the next couple of years after they build it. So it's just crazy because the taxpayers are the one that pay for a lot of it, and it's just. I don't know. I can understand that because when you bring in a Super Bowl, you bring in a lot of tourism, you bring in a lot of people. They spend a lot of money in your community, in your city, which obviously helps out, in the community. But, I just think sometimes it's overkill with, it seems like every year now there's somebody talking about a new stadium. Well, we just built this one and it's not very old. So, that's kind of my gripe with it.
Kelly, here's what has changed in the stadium business, and I don't pretend to know who the father of luxury suites was.
That's another one.
Once we got into the luxury suite business, whether it's arenas or stadiums, a lot of stuff has changed.
Yep.
Now it's way more about amenities. You talked about that thing in Cleveland, the Mistake on the Lake, Municipal Stadium, beloved place. If you see the movie Major League, right at the beginning is a look at the old Mistake on the Lake.
Yep.
And 85,000 for the Browns, horrible sight lines at times.
George, call me stupid, but why did they call it Mistake on the Lake? Let me get help. David, do you know why it's called Mistake on the Lake?
Why are you dragging me into this?
I'm just trying to get perspective on if I sound like an idiot.
Have you ever heard of Lake Erie?
I know the lake, but why the mistake?
Well, look, it was not what we would call an artistic beauty.
Okay, so there's
take a look at it.
There's no profound story behind.
Take a look at it.
I don't know if there was a huge story behind it.
No, I don't know. I don't really know who dubbed it the Mistake on the Lake.
Me neither.
Anyway, the bottom line to all this is we're going to take Monday, and essentially Monday's show is going to be about this issue. And I think we've got the three people that can most talk about it. First of all, thanks to Councilwoman Allen for giving me some documents that I'm going to study over the weekend, and we'll have some graphics and things. Go ahead and put it up there.
That's a baseball stadium.
Yeah, well, go ahead. It was both.
Disgusting.
It was Indians and Browns. Go ahead and put it up there.
David, see if you could share your screen. I think you should be able to. We'll work on it. But that's disgusting.
Well, it was the Mistake on the Lake.
Because you guys
I understand it now.
You young guys are used to brand new, the latest, the greatest. I mean, that stadium was kind of an icon in the Cleveland area for decades. They love that place.
Yes. Okay, so there it is. That's the Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Well, George, only you can see that, but I think the viewers know what we're talking about.
They can't see that?
No.
Okay. Here's a little trivia question for all of you. What famous athlete spent Okay.
There it is.
Can we enlarge it at all?
Man, that is
okay.
There
we go. So there was an iconic athlete that would dress incognito. Huge Cleveland Brown fan. Go up there every weekend. You know who it is?
Who is it?
I would have no clue.
Baseball's true home run king, Hank Aaron.
Hammerin' Hank.
Big Browns fan. Anyway, bottom line is we're going to spend virtually the entire show on the stadium issue. Now, I'm not this in a different world. This would have been a good sports speaker series. It really would have been. But this was something that, we felt like we ought to do. So I will say this, there's nothing stopping any of you. If you want to come watch this, you're welcome to. I'm not asking you to, like I will when we do sports speaker series, but there's absolutely nothing stopping any of you if you want to come out. You got a beautiful setting. So that's that. That's what we're going to do.
So are they going to be there with you, George? I mean, they're going to be with you on Monday?
Councilwoman Allen will be here. Butch Spearden will be here. Burke Nihill will be on by Zoom from 3 to 3:30.
Gotcha.
Billy, if people have questions that they want to get in over the next few days about it, how can they do that? Because I intend to use some of them.
Yeah, all they got to do is go to our YouTube channel, wherever they watch. On the bottom right side of that feed is where you can type in your question. So if you've got a question for either Berkeley Allen, Butch Spearden, or Burke Nihill, you can type those in there. I will see them. They'll come directly to me, and then we'll get them out to them, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, beautiful. So that's the announcement.
And real quick, George, before we go to the break, Mark Borowicki, is that how you pronounce his name? He has announced his retirement. Former Predators
I'm
defenseman.
not surprised.
Also played for the Senators, 12 NHL seasons.
A lot of injuries late. Good for him, though. I hope retirement is good for him. We're going to go to the break. When we come back, it will be Stat of the Day, and then the award-winning Kelly Holcomb's World of Football. You have no idea where we're going, but I think you're going to enjoy it. Please stick around. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication. And we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. It is time for Kelly Holcomb's favorite segment of the show. It is time for Saturday. Saturday is presented by John English Antique Sports and Cards, located in Shelbyville, Tennessee. You can find them at 204 East Depot Street. They're open during the week Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. In honor of Joel Embiid winning his first MVP last night, we're going to do a Joel Embiid and NBA MVP question. So Joel Embiid won.
We have a little problem with that?
Yeah, a little tongue twister over there.
Spit it out.
There we go.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid won his first career MVP award last night. This season, Embiid averaged 33.1 points per game, 10.2 rebounds, and shot 54.8% from the field. Can you name the last player to win MVP, averaging 30 points a game with 10 rebounds and shooting over 50% from the field?
That's a loaded one.
That is. Kelly, I'm going to toss a name out there, and then we can bat it around. I don't want to get gonged right out of the gate. First one that came to mind for me was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
How about Tim Duncan? I don't know.
I think that's a very good one. Moses Malone was one, but I'll be honest. I like the Tim Duncan one. You want to go with it?
We can. I mean,
let's do it. I like it. Let's see.
Whatever. Of the 3 names mentioned, one of them is the correct answer. So you're down to 2.
Would you look at that?
Oh, wow.
Who else did you say, George? You said Kareem, and you said who else?
Kareem and Moses Malone. Moses Malone in '83 had a monster year. Let's go Kareem. Yeah,
it is Moses Malone.
Is it Moses
Malone?
1981 and 82.
Yeah. So Moses came straight out of high school. And think about that. I mean, there have been 3 or 4 that have come straight out that have had more success than I would have ever thought. One of them was Kevin Garnett.
But back in the day, it's almost like Moses Malone is one of his own. I mean, in the early 80s to come out of high school like that. I mean, did that happen?
Yeah, it happened.
He was good, man. He was really good. I watched a deal the other day where Dr. J and Charles Barkley were, Dr. J was interviewing Charles Barkley, and it was a really cool deal when Charles was a rookie, and he talked about Moses Malone, and those dudes were really, really something to watch.
Okay, before we get to Kelly Holcomb's World of Football that I know all of you breathlessly await, we got a little bit of breaking news, and I think it's very cool.
Yeah, it's really, really good news. Mike Vrabel has been selected to the Patriots Hall of Fame, the 34th member of the Patriots Hall of Fame, voted on by the fans. So big fan favorite, played there from 01 to 08, if I'm not mistaken. So linebacker. And Kelly, I told George, I don't know if there's a more versatile player maybe ever. I mean, to catch as many touchdowns as he did and be that good as a linebacker, it's incredible.
He was good. He was really smart. He was big. He understood what Belichick and those guys were trying to do, and played against him a couple of times. He's really intelligent about the game, and that's why all these guys down here love him. I mean, you look at some of their deal where they're in camp or something, and he's got one of those dummies, and he's letting those guys hammer on him, and the guys love that when your head coach can get in there and he actually knows what he's talking about. He's actually been in the fight. He's actually done what you're doing. It just commands a whole different respect from the guys. And he was a really good player for the New England Patriots for quite a while.
And David just brought up the fact that he owns one of the maybe worst moments in Patriots history, losing in Tom Brady's last game. I mean, Vrabel was the guy, his Titans team beat him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a unique spot with Patriots lore.
And that INT at the end of the game that got deflected and then picked off changed millions of dollars in Vegas.
I would imagine it did.
Yeah. Okay, are we now ready for Kelly Holcomb's World of Football? The answer is yes. He has his own intro. It's a moment you have breathlessly awaited. It's time for Kelly Holcomb's World of Football. As shocking as this may sound, Kelly Holcomb's World of Football has sponsors. It's brought to you in part by Baird Financial with Yaz Hassan and Justin Oldham, and by State Farm Insurance, located in Murfreesboro through agent Celeste Middleton. Okay, so we're going to do something a little goofy here. We're going to list for you a bunch of the quarterbacks that got drafted last week. And we're going to speculate on, are they going to have a good mentor? Is it going to be a rocky, relationship? Or is it going to be a really good one? So let's just put the graphic up here. And let's start in Carolina, where Bryce Young is the number one draft pick from Alabama. And Carolina has signed Andy Dalton during the offseason. Kelly, I think this is the perfect setup. I believe Andy Dalton will be a great role model, great teacher for Bryce Young.
Yeah, and we'll talk about all these, but you look down through here, there's guys in different parts of their career, George, and I think that has a lot to do with how they'll be to the guy that has just been drafted. Now, I don't know, and I haven't heard, you guys might have heard, but are they thinking Bryce Young is going to step in there and go right now, or are they going to allow him to kind of sit on the sidelines and Andy Dalton take command of this? I don't know. I think that Andy Dalton, he's kind of been a journeyman ever since he left Cincinnati, and I think he would be one of the great guys to help Bryce Young. He's been in the league for quite a long time. He's had some success. He's been to playoffs. He's done some things, and I can certainly see him being a big help to Bryce Young. Bryce Young is one of those young guys that, if you listen to him talk, his dad was a psychologist, sports psychologist, and he definitely helped his son in his maturation process, because I don't think you're going to find a more grounded young man in all of those guys that we look right here than Bryce Young. So I think his dad, will help him, but I think Andy Dalton will certainly help him if he's thrust into the spotlight right at the beginning.
I would assume Carolina may be a little bit like the Titans. What's their record, in the middle of October?
Right.
Probably that determines how much Bryce Young is going to play in that first year.
And both Dalton and Tannehill have a pretty big injury history, so don't rule that out either.
Right. Now
I can just see this. I can just see this Carolina deal though with Bryce Young. I think he's different than the other guys. I mean, if you watch him play, the guy is so light on his feet. He moves around. He had a little bit of an injury last year, but it was kind of freakish. But he's one of those guys that can. He doesn't absorb big hits. I mean, he's one of those guys that's kind of squirmy. He can get through things. He never takes a big hit to me, it looks like. And I just can see, I mean, we'll have to see how it goes through all these OTAs and all these mini camps and all the crap that happens before the season. But I can see him starting. I don't know if it'll happen, and I'm sure it probably won't, but I could see he would be the one that opening day could be the starter at Carolina. I could see that.
Now, in Houston, I think this is a little dicier deal. Davis Mills is a young guy, probably no more than a year or two older than C.J. Stroud, and Davis Mills has not been half bad. So he's very young in his career, and he's being told, move over for the new guy that's been drafted. Kelly, I think that's where you run into problems.
I think so too, and that's kind of what I was alluding to when I started talking about the Carolina Panthers. You've got a young guy that in Davis Mills who started a few years. He's been behind a really bad offensive line. They're not very good. They've needed some pieces, obviously, but he's kind of just like you said, George. He's just a few years older than C.J. Stroud, so he's trying to make his way, and that becomes kind of a problem because he kind of tasted what being a starter is like, and he's definitely not at the age of a Matthew Stafford or a Andy Dalton where, hey, we've done what we wanted to do. We've played in a lot of games, we've had a lot of snaps, we've played for a lot of different teams. Andy Dalton, with that being said, it's one of those situations where Davis Mills might not want to help C.J. Stroud because he might see it as, hey, if this guy messes up, I'm back in, so I'm not going to help him as much as I could. I just don't think that's the right way to be, but that certainly happens in the NFL. I was in that situation when I was in Cleveland. Unfortunately, Tim and I, we were not like that. We helped each other. We were friends, and it can get kind of dicey. It can get kind of cold. I mean, I can remember hearing stories about when Joe Montana and Steve Young were together. Montana had been at San Francisco for a long time, and then Steve Young comes in, and he starts raising a ruckus saying, hey, if I'm going to be the backup, I need, this many snaps during the week of practice. And obviously Joe Montana had been there for a while and he'd taken all the snaps, and that probably perplexed him a little bit, and that probably irritated him some. So I don't know if they had the coolest relationship ever. I don't know if you know anything about that, George, but I have heard those stories. So sometimes it can get kind of cold with situations like that. But a long time ago, Tom Moore told me there's nothing better in the world than keeping your mouth shut. You can stay a long time in this league, and that's what I did. I think that's what Davis Mills could do if he just shut his mouth. He helped. And then, it could be a situation where, like Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota, if you sit there and C.J. Stroud goes in and struggles, they can rely back on you. So, it's kind of a dicey deal. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Third one to me is a real crapshoot. Gardner Minshew is a baller, period.
Yeah.
And yet he has been willing to sit behind some other people, even though I think he's got starter ability. But here's the thing that's a little strange here. What can Gardner Minshew really teach Anthony Richardson? Because their styles are not all that similar.
See, and that's where you when you draft a guy like Anthony Richardson in the eyes of like Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, you got Coach Steichen coming in from the Philadelphia Eagles. So, just like Herm Edwards said, what do you do? Like they're going to put some things in there for Anthony Richardson that only Anthony Richardson can do. But if you're not going to start him at the beginning of the year, you still got to have that stuff in the playbook, but you got to have some things obviously that Gardner Minshew can do too. But I think, if you're talking about mentoring, I think Gardner Minshew's the right guy for this, because I think Gardner Minshew has no ego. I think he understands the situation. He just wants to play a little bit and go in there and do the best that he can do, obviously knowing that at some point Anthony Richardson's going to take this deal over. I think Gardner Minshew will help him out tremendously. But like that to me is where, these two worlds collide when you got a really athletic quarterback. And I'm not saying Gardner Minshew's not athletic, but he does totally different things than Anthony Richardson. So how do you marry that together if you're Shane Steichen? How do you marry that together with knowing that you got one dude that's ultra talented that's going to be able to run around and do all this stuff, where you got Gardner Minshew who reads defenses, stands in the pocket, throws the ball? So that's interesting to me about how they gel all this together.
Okay, the one here seems on the surface that it will go okay, but it was interesting today that Tannehill took a little bit of a rip at Rand Carthon, essentially saying, yeah, I was surprised we didn't go get a receiver until the 7th round, because let's face it, Kelly, if this team craters, if they're 1-5, it's going to be Tannehill out, Will Levis in, and yet Tannehill may be sitting there saying, yeah, but you're not getting me any of the weapons I need to have a chance to win.
That's right. I think Ryan Tannehill's kind of on the Davis Mills deal. Obviously, he's played a lot more, done a lot more things than Davis Mills has done up until this point. But, he's kind of in, he's not at the twilight of his career, I don't think. I think he feels like he's got a longer career. So I don't know, I don't know the personality of Ryan Tannehill. He seems like a really good guy, and I'm sure he'll help, because, the majority of guys, when you get into a room and you get into position meeting, we'll joke around and do all that, but they really help each other. I can see Ryan Tannehill doing that. I don't know if he feels threatened by Will Levis at this point of his career. Obviously they drafted him number 1, but it could be a situation where, when Drew Brees was at San Diego and Phillip Rivers came in, well, Drew Brees was not going to give that job up. I mean, he didn't play good in his, to start off his career, but then he started figuring it out. And Drew Brees, everybody said, well, they've drafted Phillip Rivers. Well, Drew Brees started playing really good, and then it came to a point where they wanted to get Phillip Rivers in. Well, they had to trade. They had to get rid of Drew Brees. So, it could be that kind of situation. Like, if Ryan Tannehill plays good and he plays well and he's still doing it, it's his job to lose. And then it might come to a situation where we got this young guy here and we think he's probably better than Ryan Tannehill, but Ryan Tannehill's winning games for us. What do we do? There's a lot of questions that go into that stuff, George. But I think Ryan Tannehill would probably help Will Levis. I don't know if he feels threatened with that.
Tannehill has been the victim because he's been a little bit of a public whipping boy of the interceptions in the Cincinnati playoff game.
Yeah, yes.
And I think from that moment on, people have not looked at him the same. Now, whether that's fair or not, I believe that's the way it is. I heard all the stuff walking out of Nissan Stadium that night, and boy, were they down on him.
I just, and I've said this before too, George. We don't, people, and they buy, everybody buys tickets, and they can have their opinion, but you really don't understand, like, some of those interceptions. One of them, I think, I forget who it was. It might have been Julio Jones running a route. Well, did he run the right route? I mean, do we know that? We're not sure of that. So, and then the one that he threw within, I think there were 3 or 4 guys around that. Well, there was still room to throw that ball in there. And if the DB doesn't make a great play and that ball gets in there, everybody's talking about, hey, he looked like Tom Brady on that throw. But, things happen in football sometimes that you just can't predict. And, you might have thrown the greatest pass ever and it bounces off the receiver's chest and goes up in the air and it gets picked off. Well, that's blamed on you. So nobody truly knows until you're in that room. And that's kind of what, that's kind of what sucks about being a quarterback. I mean, you get too much of the credit and too much of the blame when you lose. So, I don't really look into stuff like that.
It's interesting you guys mentioned the relationship of that Titans quarterback room. Last year post-draft with his first press conference, they asked Ryan Tannehill, are you going to mentor Malik Willis? And he kind of came out and said, it's not my job to mentor Malik Willis moving forward. I'm sure that question got asked today. Is your job going to be to help mentor Will Levis? Interesting to see how he reacts to that moving forward.
What kind of an answer was that from Tannehill anyway last year? I mean, did he really mean to say that?
I don't know. I don't know him, so I don't really know enough of the backstory of how to interpret that. Everything I know about him seems to be a good guy.
But here's the deal, guys. If you're a young guy and you ask a question to a veteran guy, unless he's just a straight jerk, I mean, he's going to answer the question for you, because as a quarterback, we're all in there together. We're all, we all want to play. We get it, but there can only be one guy to play. But like, if you're a young guy and you ask a veteran guy a question, like if he's a total jerk, then yeah, he's going to act. But most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, you're going to answer the question and you're going to answer it genuinely, So I don't know. I never did buy into this stuff like that. I think we're all, looking for a common goal. We're all there trying to win games. We're all there trying to help each other. I know it gets cold sometimes in quarterback rooms and in position rooms. I get that. But, I never looked at it that way.
The last two appear to be a couple that ought to go pretty smoothly.
Right.
Hooker's injury makes it very unlikely that he plays early. The Lions look like they've got to be a shot to be really good. And Jared Goff has experienced both the high of highs, Super Bowl quarterback, and then a quarterback that his team wanted to get rid of. So he's seen it all. On paper, that one seems to me to be very smooth.
Yeah, and I've heard from every indication I've got, Jared Goff is a really good guy. I think he helps guys. When the Hard Knocks was out there with the Rams, when he got drafted with Jeff Fisher and all those guys, seemed like a really good guy. And that's what I'm talking about. A younger guy asking an older guy, they're going to help you. They're going to help you. But I think Jared Goff is, he's not obviously hadn't played as long as Andy Dalton, but, he and Matthew Stafford are like the guys that, they've done that. Jared Goff took the Rams to the Super Bowl. He got beat, but he took the Rams to the Super Bowl. He's gone to Detroit. They weren't very good when he first got there, but they're getting better. I mean, they were much improved last year. He seems like the leader of the team. I don't think he feels threatened by Hendon Hooker, obviously being a third-round pick, but Hendon Hooker's got some talent. He just needs to get well, and he needs to learn as much as he can from Jared Goff, the guy that's been there and he's done it.
So the last one is a really interesting deal in that Matthew Stafford is a Georgia grad. Stetson Bennett's a Georgia grad. I would think these two would hit it off great. Stafford wanting to know probably what's it been like to win back-to-back national titles. What's it like now as opposed to when I was there? I mean, for Stetson Bennett, this has got to be the perfect situation. If anybody's going to mentor him, it's Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford's done it all. He's been in Detroit when they were really bad. He's gotten beaten up, and he's really played well there. And then he goes out to L.A., with McVay, and he's won a Super Bowl. So he is not threatened at all, obviously, by Stetson Bennett. I told you this morning, I think Stetson Bennett's a really good football player. Everybody can talk about his size, and everybody can talk about all that garbage that they want to. But when you win 2 national championships, you're doing something right. I mean, JT Daniels went there and couldn't get it done, and then Stetson Bennett rolls in and wins 2 titles. So he's got the ultimate guy in Matthew Stafford, who's, kind of reaching the twilight of his career. He's starting to get injured a little bit more than he, because all the beatings that he took in Detroit when he didn't have anybody seems like it's starting to take a little toll on him. It's amazing, though, George, you look at this draft and all these Georgia guys. Stetson Bennett's going with a guy that was at Georgia, and then the guys from Philadelphia. I mean, it's going to be like a team reunion when they all meet up in Philadelphia. So it's pretty impressive. But I think Matthew Stafford helps Stetson Bennett as much as he can. But I think Stetson Bennett, like if he can sit on the sideline for a little bit, I don't know. You know, time will tell. We'll see how it goes. But I've always thought the guy could play. I really do. I saw him make some throws at college, and he can move around. He's quick. He's obviously smart. He understands the position. So, you know, you might look up and he'd be a starter 3 or 4 years down the road. You never know.
Interesting nugget on this Rams Stetson Bennett draft. This is the first time they have drafted a quarterback under Sean McVay since 2017. The last time they drafted a quarterback, it was Jared Goff with that first overall pick in 2016. But kind of interesting to see how that relationship is going to work out. McVay has kind of had his foot out the door with retirement. For as young as he is, he's mentioned that quite a few times with the trajectory of that team. But just kind of interesting nugget to point out. Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, and I was going to throw out there with all these Georgia guys, the NFL's turning into a dog-eat-dog world.
We should kick him out now. Just kick him out.
I couldn't wait. I wanted to say
that
it
one
earlier.
is worse than the Third Reich.
Can we dock his pay?
Give me credit, George.
No.
Can you dock his pay, George, for that? Like, give him a $50 fine for something like that.
Absolutely. Yes.
That would make a difference.
Have him start paying us for being here.
That's right.
Okay, after the break, there is some news on the college football playoff front that I think is some really positive stuff. You may have seen it, you may not have. We'll talk about it next. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Okay, we're not going to put a graphic up of this, but the college football playoff committee, led by the executive director, Bill Hancock, released late last night sort of a college football playoff schedule. And I, for one, really remember, this is at the end of 2024, we're moving to a 12-team playoff. So everybody's like, okay, how's this going to work? Well, they've sort of put it out there. And David, kind of just let's start with the opening weekend where, am I right that 4 teams are getting a bye? Am I right about that part?
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, the first round will be on a Friday with 1 game on a college campus. And then on that Saturday, December 21st of 2024, 3 games will take place also on a college campus.
So 1 on a Friday night and then 3 on a Saturday.
Correct.
Right before Christmas, the weekend before Christmas.
December 20th and 21st.
Okay, so the 4 winners of those games will meet the 4 who have gotten a first round bye.
And that will be the quarterfinals taking place on December 31st and January 1st. That is the Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl, and the All-State Sugar Bowl.
Okay, now it looks like what they've tried to do is go 1 game on the 31st, 3 on January the 1st, which is, to me, really smart. They need to get as far away from that December 31st thing as they can.
And what they're going to do is Friday night, they're going to take a look at, all right, what's going to be the biggest ratings boost for us? We're going to put that game on Friday night. And then in the quarterfinals, they're going to look at which is going to be the best ratings game. We're going to put that one on December 31st, New Year's Eve at night. And for a team like Tennessee, you got to believe Tennessee, if they make it in 2024, they would be, if they're hosting.
Now, hold on a second. It's not a good move to put your highest rated game on New Year's Eve.
Right, but then you put it with 3 other games, and I know New Year's Day is arguably the better day.
Yeah.
But knowing the way they've done it in the past, from my perspective, I would think they put that on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we'll see.
In that first round, I think your prime time slot is that Saturday last game. That night game is going to be your prime time spot. But I get it on that Friday as well when you just have 1 game.
Because it's a standalone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Now you could have, if they're smart, something like 1:30, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, so that you get the whole nation and Kelly doesn't fall asleep and I don't fall asleep. That's important.
It also depends on who's in it with those time slots as well. If you have a West
where
Coast,
they're playing, yeah.
Absolutely. And then the semifinals will be Thursday, January 9th in 2025 and Friday, January 10th. The Thursday game will be
1 game each night.
Correct. For the
Thursday night, Friday night.
I love that.
You got the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl.
And the finals?
It's on Monday, January 20th in Atlanta,
a little bit
Georgia.
later.
Kelly, I like it.
I do too. So the top 4 teams are going to get a bye then.
Yeah. They get a first round bye. So 5, it's a little bit like the NCAA basketball tournament. 5 will play 12.
Right.
6 will play 11, 7, 10, 8, 9 in the seeding process. The first 4 get a bye.
Got a quick question for y'all. Would you rather have that home game in that first round, right, 20th and 21st, one of those teams, or get the rest, wait, maybe I don't know about ready to play, but what spot would you rather be in? Get that game in, maybe host that game, and then maybe get some momentum and then roll into the quarterfinals?
Not me. Football's too physical a game. Get the rest.
I would definitely like to have an open game. That's for sure. Like to have a spot in that top 4, which is everybody. But I like this too because everybody's arguing about the top 4 and well, we didn't get a shot. Well, 12 teams. If you don't get in the 12 teams, then you didn't deserve to be in the 12 teams. So I like this. I mean, I don't know if any number's going to make everybody happy, but I do like that. That's not bad.
I think they've done a pretty good job with this. First of all, that first weekend of games right before Christmas. Now, there will be competition with the NFL, which will play some Saturday games late, but that will be a big rating thing.
So let me ask
crappy. People are home. Be a lot of football watching.
George, let me ask this: Did David say that on the first couple of games, the first weekend of games, they're going to be at the higher seeded home? Is that what we're doing, or
yes.
is that okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing to look at here, though, is the group of 5 team that gets in this 12-team field. Do they take a spot? Well, they're obviously going to take a spot away from a Power 5 team, but how hairy does that get in that maybe 11 to 13, 14 rankings, right? You got to put a group of 5 team in, but there's going to be a Power 5 team that gets left out, and they're going to have something to say about it.
Yeah,
so
it depends on how good that group of 5 team is.
Right.
So real quickly, guys, if this were in effect last year, that first opening weekend, TCU would have been the 5 seed. They would have hosted Tulane, who was the 12. Ohio State would have hosted Penn State, which is a conference matchup, 6 versus 11. Alabama would have played USC at Alabama, and Tennessee would have hosted Kansas State, who was the Big 12 champ. So that's what it would look like on that first opening weekend.
That Tennessee K-State would have been the Friday night game, I guarantee you, in that first round.
Alabama versus USC, that's 2 blue bloods of the football. It's prime time.
Iconic franchises.
Prime time.
A Neyland Stadium playoff game, though, there's nothing that'll rival that. I mean, as starving as that fan base is,
I think they have given the public what they want in a 12-team playoff. Frankly, I didn't think they would go to double digits, Kelly. I thought they'd go
8,
maybe 6, maybe 8.
Yeah.
12 shocked me. I think it's going to be really good.
I do too. I don't know where the number was, but they came up with 12, and nobody's got a chance to gripe now, because if you're not in the top 12, that's quite a bit of teams. So if you're not there, then you obviously should have done something during the year to get there.
Now the question becomes, can that system and the bowls coexist, or do the bowls take an even bigger dive because they're not the playoffs?
I don't know. That's a good question, man. There's nothing, though, that's better than going to the bowl games for these young men that get to participate in the bowl games. I mean, they get so much stuff. They get so many accessories. It's a pretty cool deal. It's a pretty neat deal, because when you go to a bowl game, man, they treat you like royalty. And it's when I went with Middle a couple of times, man, they give you everything. So there's so many things that want to tie into that bowl and want to be part of the bowl, and they give you so much stuff. So it is truly a cool deal for those kids.
What were your bowls?
My bowls, I didn't. Well, we had, this was when I was doing broadcasting. We had the one in Mobile, which I forget which one that was. It was the one with Danica Patrick.
The GoDaddy.com.
The GoDaddy.com bowl. Yeah, we went to that one, and then there was another one I think that we went to. We went to the New Orleans Bowl. We did go to the New Orleans Bowl. Yeah. That was the one that we won. We didn't, we played Miami of Ohio, I think, in the GoDaddy.com Bowl and got trounced on that one. So it's a neat deal, man. And they got so many things during the week. I mean, they give you so much stuff, but they have all these things that you got to go to. It's cool. Yeah, they give you a lot of stuff, which I thought was really cool for the guys.
That's what I hope we don't ever forget about. Those kids love that, as you said, Kelly. I mean, that makes some of those guys' careers.
And some guys are not going to go on to the NFL, so they get treated really nice that week by all these corporate sponsors, which is really neat.
We're going to go to the break, and then we'll have Plaster Bet of the Day, and I'll leave it like this. I need a win now.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Welcome back in. It is time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, presented to you by Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. They are, simply put, the best in the business. They are lawyers you can trust. So give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. Before we get to tonight's bets, we got to see what happened last night with George, and it was no bueno for George.
No, it was not good.
A big old goose egg.
Big old goose egg, 0 for 2. Golden State got beat outright, and Dallas in OT got beat at home by Seattle. So
You got screwed with Dallas, though.
I didn't see the end of it. What happened?
Well, I'm just saying Pavelski had 4 goals.
Well, such is life. So I need 2 wins tonight, and here goes. Now, I want to make clear one thing that you're going to see in a minute, and that is the Philadelphia Celtics line. Okay? This was before it got out earlier today that Joel Embiid is going to play. The line, surprisingly, has not dropped all that much. It's down to Philly +8. So we will take Philly +8 tonight at the Garden. Not that I think James Harden's going to have 45 again or anything close to it, but if Embiid is healthy, this is going to be a terrific game. They're good enough. Philly's good enough to win in Boston. They proved it a couple of nights ago.
I don't know. I think the Celtics. I don't know about you, Charlie, but I just think they're going to come ready to play.
I'm with Billy, George. Like, I just don't think that'll happen again, man. Even if Embiid plays, man, those guys are going to be playing. They're at home. I think the Celtics got this one, brother.
Well, that's the beauty of this, Kelly. The
I hope I'm
only
right.
person who sticks their neck out on the line is me. Billy can sit there and chirp all he wants, but he doesn't have a record. You know, he doesn't have to show that he's 54 and 212 because he gets to languish in anonymity.
Maybe Dick would have my approval. I might take him up on that.
The second one, I just think Carolina, again, I've been all over Carolina. Carolina's better than New Jersey. It's at home in Carolina. They're going to win. Book it.
Good luck. New Jersey, though, they're going to be ready for.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, the only reason I'm taking this is because Carolina is at home.
Home game.
Now, I checked into this during the commercial break. Both tonight and tomorrow night, only one NBA game. So tomorrow night's Lakers, Golden State, 8 p.m. Kelly, I expect you to tough it out and see the final play of that game.
I'll try. I'll do my best.
Quit being a wuss bag.
I am. I agree. I'm soft.
Fall asleep at 8.
I've become soft as cotton, Hoss.
You and don't drool. Okay, if you're going to fall asleep, don't.
I'm not going to drool.
Okay,
I won't drool.
Good. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you, brother.
Oh, whoa, hold on a second. Hold on. Don't go yet.
Right.
We have program notes. First of all, take that down for a second. There we go. If you would like to see the Predators of the future, viewing party tonight here at the Ford Ice Center in Bellevue. Milwaukee Admirals play. Joel, what time is that game? 7 o'clock game time. They got a great place for you to watch it. Can you all show a picture of what it looks like in here? Can you take your camera or a camera and do that? Watch what we're going to do here, Kelly. I mean, this is cutting edge stuff right here. Nice of you, David, to get out of the picture. So this is the look of Draft Picks, the restaurant and bar that will play host to this tonight. And a lot of the Predators that you enjoyed at the end of the season will be playing tonight in Milwaukee, 7 o'clock start time for
Uh-oh.
special.
There we go. There we
go.
There we go. I mean, technical difficulties. I mean, when we do something just a little bit out of the ordinary, Billy cannot keep up.
What? Hold on a second.
That one wasn't on Billy. That one was on me.
Oh, David.
Yeah. So what does that do to David's status? The kindred spirits BS
He just went down a little bit. I'm going to have to start grouping him in with Billy. And I really don't want to do that, David. I really like you.
Yeah. Billy, on the other hand, you despise?
I don't despise Billy. It's just, he's got to get a little grief from all this stuff that he messes up.
He's been kissing up to you lately, so
he has.
I don't know if that's helping.
It hasn't worked. It obviously hasn't worked, though.
No, it has not. Kelly, enjoy your evening. Enjoy the drool. Stay up past 7:30 tonight.
Okay, I'll try.
I'll try to do the same. You guys behave. Good watch party tonight here at Draft Picks at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, 7 o'clock to watch the Milwaukee Admirals in the playoffs. We're out of here. See you tomorrow.